When fortune finally bows her head before you, when the world begins to whisper your name with envy and suspicion, that is the precise moment you must learn the oldest secret of power: to appear weaker than you are, poorer than you are, humbler than you feel. For abundance attracts not admiration but appetite. When gold fills your hands, you must close them gently and hide them in your sleeves. For eyes that see too much will not rest until they've taken what you have. To act poor when you are rich is not cowardice, it is strategy. It is the art of disarming envy before it becomes a blade. The poor man moves freely through the crowd. The rich man walks surrounded by thieves. The wise ruler, even in prosperity, learns to wear the garments of restraint, to speak little of his triumphs and much of his struggles, to appear ordinary so that his ambitions are mistaken for contentment. Concealment is protection, and modesty is armor. In politics, in business, in any arena where power can be tasted, visibility is danger. To be seen as powerful is to invite challenge. To be seen as wealthy is to summon leeches dressed as friends. The powerful who flaunt their fortune build their own gallows. The more you show, the more you owe, not in debt, but in explanation. Men will demand reasons for your success, and if they cannot find them, they will invent betrayals to justify their resentment. The wise understand that influence grows best in the shadows. When you reveal your wealth, you give your enemies the blueprint of your destruction. When you remain silent, they are forced to guess, and uncertainty is more frightening than truth. The illusion of limitation is the mask behind which true dominance thrives. To play small in appearance is to move unseen through the corridors of power, while others waste their strength announcing themselves. In the theater of the world, humility is not virtue, it is disguise. To act poor is to control the expectations of others. It makes your victories appear accidental, your wealth seem undeserved, your intelligence mistaken for luck. In this miscalculation, you find freedom. For as long as they underestimate you, they will never prepare for your rise. And when the time comes to act, their surprise will be your weapon. People are not enraged by inequality, they are enraged by its visibility. They will forgive the fortune they do not see, but crucify the one that gleams before their eyes. Thus, concealment is not just prudence, it is survival. Let your generosity be quiet, your possessions plain, your pleasures private. The man who consumes in silence lives longer than the one who celebrates aloud. When you begin to rise, never announce it. The loud climber is watched, the silent one is forgotten until he stands at the summit. Let your growth be mistaken for stagnation. Let your silence be misread as weakness. By the time they realize your reach, it will be too late to restrain it. The fool seeks validation from applause. The wise seek freedom from attention. Wealth does not test a man's greed, it tests his restraint. The poor are desperate to show they have something. The powerful are content to know they could lose everything and still endure. To hold power is to manage perception, and perception is born from contrast. Speak like the hungry even when you are full. Act like the beggar even when you are the king. For men fear hunger but despise gluttony. Let them believe you are still starving, and they will not try to steal your bread. Remember, riches do not change the nature of man, only his exposure to temptation. The same vices that served you in survival will betray you in prosperity. Pride will whisper that you deserve to be seen. Desire will beg to be known, but power thrives in silence. The sun that burns too bright invites eclipse. Guard your glow. Let them see the reflection, not the source. Tell no one how you built your fortune. The story of your rise is the map of your vulnerabilities. Every detail shared becomes a weapon in another man's hand. Speak vaguely of your beginnings, ambiguously of your methods, and modestly of your success. Let mystery do the work of majesty. For in this age of exhibition, secrecy is the last luxury. When you act poor, you confuse the arrogant. They cannot comprehend modesty without weakness, or silence without ignorance. Let them think you are less, it will make their fall inevitable. The proud declare their victories to the world. The wise declare nothing and inherit everything. Even kings must play the pauper when surrounded by wolves. The coin you hide buys your freedom. The coin you show buys your enemies. The most dangerous wealth is not in your vault, but in your reputation. Protect it like a secret. The moment you are known as rich, you are no longer free. You become a prize to be hunted, a mountain others wish to conquer. Power's greatest paradox is this: the more you possess, the less you must reveal. Abundance must learn the posture of scarcity, or it will be devoured by it. The man who boasts of his gold builds a cage of envy around himself. The man who hides it builds a fortress of peace. So when you get rich, act poor. When you gain power, appear harmless. When you ascend, pretend to crawl. The world is filled with those who would rather see you humble than sovereign, struggling than secure. Give them the illusion they crave, while you build in silence the dominion they will never understand. Because in the end, the richest man is not the one who has the most, but the one who hides it best, commands quietly, and leaves behind no trail for the hungry to follow. The kingdom of the wise is invisible, but its influence shapes empires. Tell no one, show no one, and you will rule everyone. To be rich and act poor is to understand that the greatest form of security is invisibility. Wealth that is seen becomes a battlefield, and men fight not only for gold, but for what gold represents: superiority, validation, dominance. The clever ruler learns early that when the crowd begins to measure him, they also begin to plot against him. Better to be misjudged as modest than targeted as mighty. Better to be thought simple than envied for brilliance. For in this illusion lies the one freedom that even wealth cannot buy: the freedom to move without suspicion, to build without interference, to win without noise. It is not humility that commands this strategy, but calculation. The hand that feeds the people must never reveal the vault from which it draws. The moment they know your resources, they begin to dictate your generosity. The moment they sense your abundance, they will demand a share of it. Silence, therefore, becomes a form of wealth management, a discipline of the mind more valuable than gold. Speak not of your possessions, for in naming them, you invite ownership from others. Let them think you live in moderation, that your rise was by luck, that your power is fleeting. Such illusions are far safer than admiration, for admiration too often turns to envy, and envy always turns to betrayal. If you must display anything, let it be discipline. Let them see your restraint, not your riches. The spectacle of control is far more commanding than the spectacle of excess. For when men see you governed by measure, they assume your power comes from principle rather than privilege, and this illusion makes them obey you willingly. Even your enemies will hesitate to strike at a man who seems content with little, for they will wonder what greater fortress lies behind such composure. The art of power, like the art of war, depends on deception. The moment you show your full army, you lose the advantage of surprise. Those who rise to greatness often fall not by the force of their enemies, but by the weight of their own display. They mistake visibility for strength, applause for safety. Yet every public victory births new conspirators. Every visible triumph sharpens another man's blade. Remember this: fortune is most loyal to those who conceal her. She leaves the loud and clings to the discreet. She despises vanity, for vanity is weakness parading as confidence. Let your fortune live in silence, and it will endure. Expose it, and it will flee like a frightened ally. In the court of power, there are eyes everywhere, some flattering, some measuring, all hungry. You cannot hide from all, but you can mislead most. Wear simplicity as armor. Appear predictable, even dull, for nothing threatens mediocrity. The most dangerous men in history were never those who shouted their strength, but those who spoke with calm, whose wealth was guessed at, but never proven. They understood that power is not in the display of abundance, but in the ability to make abundance invisible. Do not trust praise, for it is often the prelude to exploitation. When they call you generous, they are preparing to take. When they call you wise, they are testing how much they can deceive you. When they call you rich, they are calculating how much they can extract. The wise man accepts flattery, but never believes it. He smiles not from joy, but from recognition, for he sees the transaction hidden behind the compliment. The fool, however, confuses flattery with friendship and loses both wealth and peace in the arms of false affection. When you act poor, you force others to reveal their intentions. Those who seek you for gain will grow impatient and leave. Those who stay without reward reveal their loyalty. Poverty, even if feigned, becomes a test of truth. Men's hearts are exposed when the glitter fades. This is why the powerful play the pauper's role not for disguise alone, but for discernment. In the pretense of limitation, you separate the devoted from the opportunist, the ally from the parasite. Riches do not make you powerful, control does. And control begins with what you choose to reveal. Every word about your wealth, every gesture of luxury, every hint of superiority loosens your grip on your own narrative. You give others material to craft your downfall. Better to speak in restraint than to be undone by indulgence. A silent ruler commands more than a boastful one, for mystery is the highest form of influence. Men will fill in the blanks with awe, suspicion, and fear, and these are stronger instruments than admiration. When you move in silence, you build a kingdom in the shadows. You direct without seeming to command. You shape events without claiming them. You influence outcomes while remaining unseen. In a world intoxicated by display, your invisibility becomes divine. Others will exhaust themselves seeking recognition. You will collect power quietly as they burn in the light. The less you are seen, the more your presence will be felt. The less you speak, the more your words will echo. To act poor when rich is to declare independence from vanity. To tell no one is to preserve the sanctity of your empire. For the world worships noise, but it fears stillness, and in that fear you reign. Wealth does not demand celebration, it demands control. Power does not need witness, it needs permanence. And permanence belongs only to those who understand that the richest life is not the one that shines, but the one that remains untouchable. So keep your fortune beneath the surface. Let your simplicity mislead them, your silence unsettle them, your restraint confuse them. For in the end, the man who hides his light rules over those who chase the Sunday. To understand power is to understand concealment. What is hidden cannot be destroyed. The ruler who parades his fortune places a target on his chest. The one who veils it places a crown upon his mind. The world is a marketplace of illusions, and the most valuable commodity is privacy. When others know your worth, they begin to negotiate your value. When they cannot measure it, they cannot diminish it. To be underestimated is to be protected. To be forgotten is to be free. Every empire begins in obscurity. The seed grows not in the sunlight, but beneath the soil in the darkness, where no applause reaches, where no eye intrudes. So too must the man of ambition cultivate his roots beneath the surface. The moment he bursts into view, he becomes subject to the weather, the storms of opinion, the winds of envy, the drought of loyalty. Power cannot grow under constant scrutiny. It must mature in silence, as steel tempers best in shadow and pressure. When you tell no one of your success, you preserve the mystery of your means. Men fear what they do not understand. They can imitate skill, they can replicate method, but they cannot fight what they cannot define. Keep your strategies veiled. Speak as though uncertain, act as though hesitant, and move with the precision of a blade beneath silk. Let others think fortune favors you by chance, not by design. The appearance of luck disguises the discipline of mastery. To rule unseen is the purest victory, for it leaves your enemies disarmed and your allies dependent. The truly powerful speak little because every word carries consequence. A careless boast may undo years of labor. A careless truth may breed resentment in hearts too small to bear it. Guard your speech as you would guard your treasury. Reveal nothing that is not necessary, promise nothing that is not profitable, and confess nothing that cannot be used against you. Words are the currency of influence. Spend them like gold, and only where they multiply your authority. It is the nature of man to measure worth by display. The fool proves his importance by the noise he makes, the wise man by the silence he maintains. In the court of life, those who shout loudest for attention are rarely those who hold true power. The sovereign moves quietly, letting the noise of others mask his advance. His wealth is not in the jewels he wears, but in the knowledge that he needs none. True power lies not in the possession of more, but in the mastery of less. Resist the temptation to prove yourself. Nothing weakens authority like the need for validation. The moment you seek acknowledgement, you concede power to those who grant it. Let your achievements speak through consequence, not proclamation. A man who must explain his greatness has already diminished it. The most commanding presence is the one that requires no introduction, the one whose silence implies capacity. The less you defend your worth, the more undeniable it becomes. Those who are rich and act rich draw parasites. Those who are rich and act poor draw freedom. Freedom from flattery, from expectation, from the exhausting performance of superiority. The world will approach you differently when it believes you have nothing to give. In their underestimation, you will find room to maneuver. They will speak freely in your presence, thinking you harmless. Their arrogance becomes your intelligence. Their openness becomes your advantage. The invisible man sees all, while being seen by none. Wealth changes men not because of what it adds, but because of what it tempts them to reveal. The first test of abundance is secrecy. Those who fail become prisoners of their own image, enslaved by luxury, addicted to praise. They spend more energy maintaining the illusion of happiness than they ever spent earning it. But those who remain discreet command both worlds, the external wealth of possession and the internal wealth of peace. Their silence is not emptiness, but control. Their modesty, not virtue, but power, refined into calm. Do not confuse poverty of display with poverty of ambition. The one who conceals his fortune may dream far beyond those who flaunt it. For the showman must constantly feed the audience, but the strategist works unseen until the final act, when the applause no longer matters. Learn to love obscurity, for it is the shield that guards your evolution. The moment the spotlight finds you, it blinds you, and what blinds you destroys you. Act poor, not to deceive, but to protect. Tell no one, not out of mistrust, but out of wisdom. For power does not die in battle, it dies in exposure. The sun of attention burns hotter than any flame, and men who bask too long in it become ashes of what they were. Preserve your mystery as your most sacred asset. When the world looks at you and sees only simplicity, you have already won, for they will never anticipate the depth of your reach, nor the strength of your silence. Remember, power is not the art of being known. It is the science of remaining unknowable. Consider the merchant who inherits sudden wealth. Eager to impress, he buys gold chains, fast horses, loud garments. The market watches, whispers grow, competitors unite, and before long his riches vanish, not by theft, but by exposure. He becomes the feast because he announced the banquet. Now contrast him with the quiet merchant who changes nothing, who walks the same roads, eats the same bread, wears the same coat. His neighbors assume he is content, while his influence multiplies behind the scenes. His wealth flows through unseen hands, funding ventures that bear no trace of his name. He governs commerce while others chase applause. Such a man understands that the greatest return on fortune is anonymity. In every age, rulers fall not from lack of might, but from excess of display. The conqueror who decorates his victories too soon breeds discontent in his soldiers. The politician who flaunts his success awakens jealousy in his allies. Even a father who parades his prosperity before his kin invites the slow erosion of trust. To act poor when rich is to govern emotion before it governs you. It is to turn restraint into a weapon. When the heart burns with the desire to be admired, the mind must pour cold strategy over it, or admiration will become addiction, and addiction will become downfall. Look to the modern world, a theater where men expose their fortunes before strangers who wish them ruin. They call it pride, expression, lifestyle. But every image they project becomes a debt, every glimpse into their abundance an invitation for envy to organize. Their digital thrones are made of glass, one rumor, one scandal, and the crowd that once cheered now tears them apart. Visibility is the new vulnerability. The wise adapt. They turn success into silence. Their houses may be grand, but their walls speak modesty. Their achievements circulate quietly, hidden beneath the noise of lesser men. Observe nature, for even it teaches this principle. The pearl hides in an unremarkable shell. The most venomous serpent slithers unseen through leaves. The predator crouches in stillness before the kill. Only the weak, desperate to warn off rivals, display their color too brightly. In the same way, power thrives beneath camouflage. Wealth, like fire, must be contained, or it will consume the one who lights it. Those who boast of their flame soon burn. There is a reason why old money whispers and new money screams. Those born to wealth understand that fortune survives only through secrecy. They hide their names behind companies, their homes behind gates, their heirs behind foundations. They have learned that the surest way to protect wealth is to erase its scent. They appear unremarkable, even frugal, yet their reach extends beyond empires. Their strength lies in absence, a calculated invisibility that renders attack impossible. And consider the general who reveals his army's numbers before war. He condemns himself. The wise commander masks his strength, feigns retreat, hides provisions, spreads rumors of weakness. His enemy grows careless, thinking victory near. Then, when complacency has dulled their edge, he strikes with precision. The same is true of fortune. The moment you display abundance, you surrender the element of surprise. Conceal your resources as you would conceal troops before battle. Let the world assume you are vulnerable. Their arrogance will build your path to victory. Even among friends, discretion is essential. Trust is a currency that must be invested carefully. Speak of your dreams, and they may encourage you. Speak of your methods, and they may imitate you. Not all betrayal comes from malice. Some comes from weakness. Many who love you will destroy you by accident, simply by speaking too freely in rooms that echo. Protect them from this temptation by giving them nothing to reveal. There is power in being underestimated. The man who appears small moves through large spaces unnoticed. The artist who downplays his genius works without interference. The entrepreneur who pretends to struggle attracts no predators. When others perceive you as harmless, they leave you to grow. And when you finally emerge, they will not know whether to fear you or revere you. Do not think this deceit immoral. Even the most virtuous prince must sometimes wear the mask of modesty to protect the virtue itself. A hidden good survives longer than a declared one. Public morality invites corruption. Private discipline endures. To act poor when rich is not hypocrisy, but governance of the self before governance of others. The man who cannot hide himself cannot rule himself, and the one who cannot rule himself cannot rule anything. When the time comes to act, let your revelation be total, sudden, final, irrefutable. Those who ignored you will call it luck. Those who envied you will call it cunning. Both are correct, for while they played for applause, you played for legacy. And legacies are built not in noise, but in the echo that follows silence. The future belongs to those who disappear while they build. The empire constructed in quiet outlasts the empire constructed in spectacle. Tell no one, display nothing, appear as the wind invisible, yet indispensable. Then, when the world awakens to your power, it will be too late to stop its tide. The art of concealment is not only for the rich or powerful, it is the universal discipline of those who wish to endure. The craftsman who keeps his methods private controls his trade. The lover who guards his feelings commands his dignity. The thinker who conceals his ideas until their perfection ensures their immortality. Power is not confined to palaces. It resides in every person who understands that what is unseen cannot be destroyed. In every domain, the loud are the first to fade, the quiet the last to fall. To act poor when rich is also to discipline the soul against arrogance. Wealth intoxicates more dangerously than wine. It blurs judgment, inflates the ego, and seduces one into believing that the applause is proof of worth. But applause is the noise made by those who watch you spend what they could never earn. It lasts only until your wealth no longer benefits them. Then the same mouths that cheered your generosity will spit on your ruin. The prudent ruler accepts this truth and spares himself the humiliation of discovering it too late. He feeds others only what he can afford to lose: attention, flattery, charity, never the essence of his strength. There was once a statesman who rose from nothing, yet never changed the plainness of his attire. He sat among kings but dressed as a clerk. They mocked him in whispers, saying he lacked refinement. But he understood what they did not, that luxury breeds expectations, and expectations breed obligation. While others were trapped maintaining their image, He negotiated quietly, using their vanity as a curtain behind which he rearranged the world. By the time they realized who had truly ruled them, he was already beyond reach. The more they looked down on him, the higher he climbed. Men often confuse visibility with success, but the highest successes are the ones that leave no footprints. The builder who signs his name on every brick seeks recognition. The builder who leaves no mark seeks immortality. The former's fame fades with the building's decay, but the latter's influence shapes the next generation's design. So it is with wealth. Spend it to be seen, and you become a spectacle. Use it invisibly, and you become a force. Observe how water commands the landscape not by height or declaration, but by persistence and silence. It fills every gap, erodes every obstacle, and nourishes life without announcing itself. So must the wise man move through the world. His wealth flows quietly through unseen channels, shaping outcomes that others attribute to chance. He governs not through domination, but through quiet inevitability. Those who act poor when rich master not only the art of concealment, but also the art of influence. When people believe you are harmless, they reveal their true selves. When they believe you are in need, they offer what they would otherwise guard. From their pity, you gain information. From their underestimation, you gain freedom. This is the advantage of modesty. It allows you to collect truths without provoking defense. The humble listener gathers more power than the loud commander. Even in personal life, the same law applies. Tell no one of your plans until they are irreversible. Every intention shared is a seed trampled by opinion. Every dream spoken too early is weakened by expectation. People do not always sabotage you out of malice often. Their disbelief alone is enough to erode your will. Conceal your progress as a mother conceals her unborn child, not out of shame, but out of protection. Let the world meet your creation only when it breathes on its own. When you are rich not only in money, but in knowledge, in skill, in insight, you will find that revelation cheapens the gift. Once shared indiscriminately, it no longer belongs to you. It belongs to the crowd that consumes without understanding. To tell no one is to preserve the sacred. What is sacred loses its strength when paraded before the profane. The most dangerous temptation of success is not greed, but exhibition. Men crave witnesses to their triumphs because they fear insignificance more than failure. But those who depend on being seen have already enslaved themselves to their audience. The true master creates for the act itself, not for the noise that follows. His satisfaction lies not in acknowledgement, but in command, the command of himself first and of his fate second. Power grows strongest when it is quietest. A volcano sleeping beneath the earth shapes mountains with more certainty than the storm shouting across the sky. To act poor when rich is to become that volcano contained, invisible, yet capable of rewriting the terrain at will. The wise build pressure slowly, the foolish release it for applause. Therefore, move through life as if cloaked in fog, not lost, but unseen. Let your silence provoke curiosity, your restraint command respect, your absence inspire speculation. People will talk, they always do, but they will talk in confusion, not certainty, and that confusion is your advantage. For a man who cannot be clearly defined cannot be easily defeated. Wealth, in all its forms, demands guardianship. Guard it with modesty, not arrogance, with secrecy, not spectacle. Tell no one of what you have or how you came to possess it. Let your fortune serve your will, not your image. The moment you must prove your wealth, it owns you. The moment you must defend it publicly, it is already half lost. Act poor, tell no one, and you will reign in silence while others drown in their own applause. To act poor when rich is not a denial of fortune, but a mastery of it. It is to command appearance, to separate what is possessed from what is perceived. Wealth, in its raw form, is only potential. Its real power lies in how it is hidden, distributed, and weaponized. The one who understands this no longer competes for recognition, because recognition is the tax of the visible. The moment your abundance is seen, it ceases to be yours. It becomes a shared myth that others claim a right to interpret, exploit, or destroy. To act poor, therefore, is to retain ownership of your narrative, to remain the author of what others can only guess. When fortune crowns you, you must not wear it like a king, but carry it like a spy, invisible, silent, aware that every smile hides a measurement, every compliment a calculation. Poverty in appearance becomes a shield that absorbs curiosity, deflects envy, and disarms greed. The act of modesty transforms into a fortress of perception, allowing your wealth to operate unseen, your influence to expand without alerting the world to its source. This is the essence of power in a world addicted to exposure. When all strive to be seen, the one who remains hidden becomes the most unpredictable, and therefore the most feared. Those who display everything surrender control. Those who display nothing become the mystery that governs all movement. To act poor is to reclaim the advantage of invisibility, to watch without being watched, to strike without being anticipated, to possess without being envied. The greatest form of control is not domination, but obscurity. What cannot be seen cannot be attacked. What cannot be measured cannot be diminished. Silence is the companion of true wealth. The more one possesses, the quieter one must become. Power draws power when it appears restrained. It repels it when it screams. To act poor when rich is to replace the theater of success with the geometry of control, every gesture deliberate, every word calculated to reveal nothing beyond necessity. Such self-command creates an aura, not of humility, but of depth. People sense something vast beneath your stillness, something dangerous behind your moderation. The less you show, the more they imagine, and imagination is more powerful than truth. Tell no one, not because all are enemies, but because all are conduits. Every ear is a doorway, and once your secrets pass through, they cease to be yours. Even loyalty cannot contain curiosity. When men know of your fortune, they begin to speak of it in your absence. Their words spread like roots, feeding those who hunger for opportunity. Information becomes a contagion, and your wealth the sickness that infects their desire. The wise, therefore, maintain control through silence, guarding not only their possessions but the illusion of their condition. To tell no one is not isolation, it is sovereignty. The act of concealment transforms wealth into command. For the man who tells no one directs perception as he wishes. He dictates what others believe about his power, his resources, his intentions. He becomes the architect of appearance, shaping reality itself through the shadows he casts. When you tell no one, you remain undefined, and the undefined cannot be confined. You move between worlds, untethered by expectation, untouchable by scrutiny. Wealth is not the possession of resources, but the possession of freedom. And freedom survives only in silence. The rich man who must justify his success is poorer than the beggar who owes no explanation. The power of discretion lies in the ability to enjoy without display, to influence without exposure. For those who speak of their fortune dilute it. Those who guard it magnify it. Silence compounds wealth faster than interest. Every secret kept is a future preserved. In the end, acting poor and telling no one is not about deception. It is about discipline. It is the recognition that power and wealth are fragile, that the world feeds on what it can see, and that the only true sanctuary lies in restraint. To appear ordinary while commanding extraordinary influence is the perfection of rule. It is the art of being everything while appearing as nothing. To act poor is to remain unbound by perception. To tell no one is to remain untouchable by envy. Together, they form the twin pillars of enduring dominion, invisibility, and control. For while others chase the flickering light of attention, the wise remain in the quiet dark, where the real architecture of power is built. There, unseen, unpraised, unmeasured, you become not a symbol of wealth but its master. When you become rich and yet act poor, you begin to govern not only your fortune but also the narrative that surrounds it. The greatest mistake of those who rise is believing that wealth alone secures their authority. In truth, wealth only multiplies the number of those who wish to possess it. Every gain invites intrusion. Every display invites conquest. To act poor, therefore, is to disarm the attention that corrodes abundance. It is to move unseen through a world that preys on visibility. Power in its purest form demands invisibility. It does not shout. It shapes. It does not boast. It bends the course of things silently. When you tell no one, You preserve this sacred stillness. You preserve your dominion from becoming spectacle. For once others know your extent, they begin to define your limits. To be known is to be measured, and to be measured is to be confined. When you reveal your success, you enter a contest you cannot win, a contest of perception. You exchange the substance of wealth for the illusion of superiority, and illusions are the easiest kingdoms to burn. The act of pretending poverty when prosperous is the highest form of self-command. It means you have mastered not only circumstance but desire. You no longer need others to mirror your power back to you. Their recognition adds nothing. Their ignorance takes nothing away. This is the equilibrium that the vain never reach. They are slaves to validation, forced to feed an endless hunger for acknowledgement. But the one who has detached from the need to be seen becomes ungovernable. He stands outside the market of vanity, beyond the reach of comparison. He is free. To act poor is also to protect the sacred rhythm of growth. Every display interrupts it. Every explanation divides your focus. When you build in silence, your energy remains whole. When you announce, you disperse it. Your momentum leaks through the cracks of conversation and opinion. The hidden builder completes 10 works, while the celebrated one is still defending his first. Silence multiplies power because it concentrates it. It transforms wealth from decoration into weapon, from vanity into force. When you tell no one, you cultivate the one thing that wealth cannot buy: peace. The peace of knowing that no eyes are watching, no tongues are speculating, no hearts are resenting. The peace of living by your own measures, not the measurements of others. For when men know you are rich, they begin to treat you not as a person, but as a prize. Their smiles conceal bargains. Their affection conceals motives. They no longer see your soul, only their reflection in your fortune. To act poor is to withdraw from this theater. It is to return to a state where your relationships are real, where respect is earned through essence rather than possession. Silence is not absence, it is command. The one who reveals nothing controls everything. Those who know less must imagine more, and imagination is a leash you hold in your hand. When you are quiet, they fill the void with their own fears, their own fantasies, their own interpretations. In this uncertainty, your influence grows. You rule their perception while appearing disengaged. The shadow you cast becomes more powerful than any truth you could have declared. To act poor when rich is to align yourself with the principle of endurance. Those who flaunt exhaust themselves. Those who conceal endure through generations. Wealth displayed is temporary. Wealth preserved is dynastic. The family that lives simply while possessing empires survives revolutions, collapses, and crises because nothing in their behavior provokes resentment. Their modesty disarms even those who covet their power. The richest heritage, therefore, is not gold, it is discretion. The true legacy is not what you show, but what remains untouched by history's hand. The rich man who acts poor becomes a ghost among the living, moving quietly, shaping events, influencing decisions without ever standing in the light. His power is diffused like scent in the air, felt but never located. He becomes the embodiment of quiet control, the still center around which chaos revolves. Those who see him think he has little. Those who know him understand he governs much. That is the summit of statecraft, not to be adored, not to be envied, but to be unassailable. To tell no one is to refuse the temptation of validation, to preserve your sovereignty against the world's hunger for spectacle. When no one knows, you are safe. When no one expects, you are free. And when no one understands, you are beyond their reach. Power, then, is not merely possession, it is the ability to exist unseen, to move without sound, to own everything without appearing to own anything. This is the final mastery of wealth, when you can walk among the poor without arrogance, dine among the powerful without envy, and live in abundance without exposure. You have ceased to be owned by what you own. You have transcended the need to prove, to declare, to impress. You have entered the quiet empire, the dominion of the self, where fortune serves its rightful master, and secrecy is the throne upon which power eternally sits. The moment you achieve power or fortune, your first duty is to guard it from decay, not from the visible enemy, but from the invisible erosion of perception. Reputation, once inflated by wealth, becomes fragile. Men admire what they can no longer attain, but their admiration quickly turns to bitterness. The wise ruler anticipates this shift and suppresses its cause. He moderates his image so that no man feels diminished in his presence, even while all remain beneath him in command. This moderation is not kindness, it is strategy. For envy is the first weapon of the weak, and concealment is the first defense of the strong. The prudent prince never allows his power to become predictable. The more they believe they know your limits, the easier it becomes for them to challenge you. Poverty of appearance is therefore an instrument of political disguise. It hides your strength in the simplicity of your conduct. When your opponents cannot calculate your reach, they misjudge your influence. They prepare too little or too late. To appear modest is to lure arrogance from others. To appear unarmed is to invite their carelessness. Both lead them into error, and from their error, you rule. No man in history has kept his throne by excess of display. The pomp of riches invites plots. The glitter of luxury weakens loyalty. For those who serve you will eventually measure what you spend against what you give. They will believe your abundance belongs to them as tribute for their obedience. When you act poor, you deny them that illusion. You create distance between your private possession and the public realm. This distance protects your sovereignty, for men cannot demand what they cannot see. Secrecy is the true coin of political survival. He who governs in silence commands twice, once through law and once through mystery. The visible ruler must answer for every act. The hidden one shapes events without confession. In the eyes of his enemies, his power seems infinite, for they cannot tell where his reach ends. In the hearts of his allies, his restraint appears as wisdom, though it is merely prudence. Thus, concealment turns suspicion into reverence and ignorance into awe. A prince who values stability above glory must prefer to be feared for his potential rather than praised for his possessions. The applause of the people is an unstable foundation. They cheer until your success reminds them of their failures. Better to let them think you are one of them, industrious, limited, restrained, than to reveal the true breadth of your dominion. For when the people see you as ordinary, they cease to envy you and begin to trust you. And trust is the most profitable illusion of all. The art of power lies in the management of appearances. To appear poor when rich, humble when strong, reluctant when ambitious, these are not deceits but instruments. Men are governed not by truth, but by perception. Therefore, he who commands perception commands the state. Control what they see, and you need not control what they think. Their imagination will build prisons around their own minds, and in those prisons you will reign. Never forget that power is a form of theater. Every gesture is a performance. Every silence a line of dialogue. The audience changes courtiers, rivals, subjects, allies, but the stage remains the same. If you play the role of wealth too loudly, they will conspire to end your act. If you play the role of humility too perfectly, they will underestimate you. The balance lies in ambiguity. Be just visible enough to be credible, yet concealed enough to be untouchable. Let them question your motives, never your strength. Fortune itself respects the discreet. She abandons the man who parades her, for he cheapens her by exposure. She remains loyal to the one who conceals her, for secrecy is the highest form of reverence. Prosperity that is flaunted invites the envy of men and the wrath of chance. Prosperity that is hidden matures into destiny. To preserve fortune, therefore, one must treat it not as possession, but as secret knowledge, guarded, unspoken, eternal. Those who rise and proclaim their rise are already descending. The echo of their triumph becomes the signal of their decline. But those who ascend in silence, who wear the dust of labor instead of the crown of arrogance, become untraceable. Their enemies cannot strike what they cannot find. Their allies cannot betray what they do not understand. Therefore, when you are rich, act as though nothing has changed. Let your manner remain austere, your gestures measured, your language free of excess. Avoid the temptation to correct others' perception. Let them believe what comforts them. Every misconception they hold is a shield for you. In the shadows of their ignorance, your wealth becomes a private empire, your power a silent kingdom. To tell no one is not merely a precaution, it is an assertion of will. It means you have chosen mastery over impulse, permanence over vanity. The fool seeks to be known in his lifetime. The wise seeks to be remembered after his death. The one fills his years with noise, the other fills his silence with legacy. It is not in the echo of applause, but in the quiet continuity of control that true sovereignty resides. So let the world see your patience, not your possessions. Let them believe you are cautious, not powerful. Let them pity what they think is lack, while you govern from invisibility. For the state of the wise man is like that of a shadow. It moves with the light, yet belongs to none. And as the crowd chases the glare, he moves unseen, shaping the course of their pursuit. This is not deception. It is the highest realism, the understanding that to endure, one must never reveal the whole truth of one's strength. He who is truly rich understands that silence is the final expression of mastery. The world worships noise, the display of status, the spectacle of indulgence, but power resides in the pause, in the unspoken, in the void where others rush to speak. When you act poor and tell no one, you withdraw from the economy of vanity and enter the economy of control. You cease to trade attention for influence and instead begin to accumulate something rarer, invisibility, which is the purest currency of the powerful. A ruler who guards his prosperity, guards his destiny. Every revelation weakens authority. Every confession dilutes strength. The wise learn to conceal not only their possessions, but their emotions, their intentions, their ambitions. For once revealed, they become the property of others. The art of governance begins with self-governance, and self-governance begins with silence. To act poor when rich is to train yourself in restraint, to remember that fortune, like power, obeys only the disciplined. Excess invites ruin as surely as arrogance invites rebellion. Men respect the wealth they do not see, just as they fear the power they cannot measure. Concealment is therefore not cowardice, but command. It allows you to dictate the rhythm of your world without ever showing your hand. Tell no one, for speech makes prisoners of the strong. Every secret spoken divides its strength. Every truth shared becomes a weapon turned outward. The one who knows your wealth knows your weakness. The one who knows your methods knows your limits. Keep them guessing, and they will never move with confidence. Keep them in darkness, and you will always move first. True sovereignty is quiet, not because it hides from the world, but because it transcends it. To act poor is to be free from the gaze that enslaves others. To tell no one is to remain unchained by their judgment. The moment you no longer need to be seen, you gain the right to truly act unseen, uninterrupted, unopposed. This is the final law of fortune. The richest man is not he who owns the most, but he who reveals the least. For his wealth is not a possession, but a presence, silent, steady, unending. He walks through the crowd unnoticed, yet every current bends toward his will. That is the perfection of rule. To possess everything, and to appear as though you possess nothing at all. In the end, the mark of wisdom is not in how one acquires power, but in how one conceals it. Wealth displayed is an open wound. It bleeds envy, pride, and danger. Wealth hidden becomes a weapon, quiet, sharp, and enduring. The world is full of men who shouted their fortune and were devoured by those they tried to impress. The few who endured, who ruled beyond their lifetime, were those who vanished behind their strength, allowing only its shadow to rule in their place. To act poor when rich is to become untouchable. It is to strip the world of leverage against you. They cannot demand what they do not believe you possess, cannot compete with what they cannot see, cannot destroy what they cannot define. The mask of humility, when worn with intent, is the most effective armor in the theater of human ambition. Behind it, you may maneuver freely, without the weight of expectation, without the hostility of comparison. Your empire expands in silence while others exhaust themselves seeking applause. Tell no one, because every listener is a potential judge, every confidant a possible rival. Once your wealth is known, you no longer own it, the world does. You become a servant to its image, bound to defend it against rumor, theft, and resentment. But the one who keeps his fortune invisible remains free. His mind is unburdened by performance. His actions are guided by necessity, not spectacle. His power multiplies precisely because it is unannounced. Understand this: the wise ruler, the cunning statesman, the master of himself all share one discipline. They reveal nothing until it serves them. They understand that truth, like gold, loses value when handled by too many hands. To preserve both, they remain silent, letting time, not words, prove their supremacy. And so, when fortune finds you, greet her with modesty. Let others boast of their harvest while you tend to your soil. Let them build monuments while you build legacies. The rich man who acts poor commands his world without resistance. The silent one commands it without detection. In this lies the final victory, not to be admired, not to be envied, but to be beyond reach. For the greatest power is not to be seen, but to be felt everywhere, and by none who can name its source.